Today, Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders is expected to propose eliminating all $1.6 trillion of student debt in the U.S. ABC7news.com/vote. Go there and let us know what you think of the idea.
And we've been asking all morning, is that even possible? So joining us via Skype to help answer that question is the author of Game of Loans, Beth Akers. Hi, Beth. Thanks for being there.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I know that you have some pretty strong opinions about Bernie Sanders' proposal, so what do you think?
Well, unfortunately, I can't be as enthusiastic about this plan as I think a lot of other people are today. If I'm a young person graduating with student debt, 70% of people who finish college do have some student debt, or the parent of a young person with student debt, I'm going to be pretty excited about this. But as someone who's looking at the bigger picture, what I like to always point out about these sorts of plans is that they're giving a lot of benefit that's being paid for with taxpayer dollars to people who probably need it the least. So people who have college degrees in this country are among the most well-off. They're a minority in having the privilege of having a college degree. We know that college degrees allow people the access to high earnings and set higher earnings that justifies them borrowing in the first place. So while there are definitely people who are struggling, who are going to benefit from a loan forgiveness proposal, we need to be cognizant that this is a lot of money to spend on a plan where the benefits are really not targeted precisely to the people who need them the most.
Beth, okay, I totally understand what you're saying here, and I understand your viewpoints on this, but do you think this is effective as a political move with 45 million people in America with student loan debt, whether they'll eventually be able to pay it off or not? Do you think this is going to appeal to voters who say, hey, I've got, $50,000 in debt. I can pay it, sure, but I don't want to. He's got my vote.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that this is a good move politically for Bernie Sanders. So recently, Senator Warren endorsed a student loan jubilee plan that gave broad forgiveness to people with student loan debt. Surprisingly, though, it was not as generous as the one that Sanders has just endorsed today. But, I was eager to find out what people thought of that when the polling numbers came out. And I thought for sure people, with less education or who are less well off wouldn't be super keen on the plan because it's, as I said before, giving a lot of benefit to people who are already doing pretty well. I was really surprised to see that more than 50% of voters were supportive of a broad-based student loan forgiveness proposal, and even people who hadn't gone to college themselves thought this was a good idea. And I think what this shows is that the way we talk about student debt in this country has people really scared about what the individual implications are going to be, what the implications on the broader economy are going to be, and they see this as a good solution. So I think that Democrats are probably making the right move in trying to appeal to that concern.
Yeah, it seems like just about every Democrat has a strong opinion about this, and most of them have a plan. So I think Beth is right. This is the way that they're going to go. And if we get a Democratic president, it's very likely that we'll see this pop up, more likely than not. Beth Akers, thanks so much. We appreciate you weighing in today.
Thanks for having me.